Good afternoon. It's Monday afternoon, 4:40 p.m., May 22nd, 1989, and we're in Bethel, Connecticut. And as you can see, that's the Vaghi homestead on 32 Elizabeth Street. The family has gathered this weekend, and today we buried our Uncle Carlo, who passed away a few days ago after a bout of pancreatic cancer. At the age of 62, lived a long, prosperous life, and all of his brothers and sisters and nephews and nieces, in-laws were here today to bid Carlo a final adieu. We're standing in front of the Vaghi house.
Spouses.
I said in-laws. Standing in front of the Vaghi house after a reception earlier today at Lorraine's home, and I thought we'd just give you a few minutes of reminiscing. Looking down Blackman towards Carlo. And the ever familiar view up Elizabeth Street. Who's that? Joe.
Joe
How are you?
Third.
There's my father
And, yes.
and my mother looking down towards St. Mary's.
Hello?
Hi, Mom. How are you?
Fine, how are you?
Fine, thank you.
It's okay. All right. The scene you're looking at now, the Vaghi house, was built by Pop in around, I think, 1910, 1912, somewhere in that neighborhood. And it's at the corner of Elizabeth Street and Blackman Avenue. It's the only house of its kind in the city of Bethel. Bethel, when the house was built, was around 2,600 souls. There are now, in 1989, approximately 15,000 people. The house is Romanesque. I mean, the design is Renaissance design. All of the parts, all of the sections were made by Pop. The form, it's all concrete and cement and brick. Each of the coins at the corner at that time in 1910, 1912 cost 25 cents a piece, each brick. The cap over the windows are white cement, as are the sills. The lions and the entrance motif is all made of white cement. As you can see, the time has had its toll on it. Some of the shrubbery's grown beyond the point where we would like to see them. However, the house has 13 rooms in it. There are 9 children born and reared there. But prior to coming here, Pop lived down the street here. If Vincent will turn 180 degrees from here, he'll be looking down Blackman Avenue towards St. Mary's Church, and you can see the rectory of St. Mary's directly ahead of you. Which you cannot see, however, is the residence of Dr. White. And there Mama and Pop lived while Pop was building the house here at the corner of Elizabeth Street and Blackman Avenue. Now, in order to build this house, as you see it now, there was a house on the site which was later moved back to what we now call the garage. So when Pop decided to build this house, it was, needless to say, quite an excitement for the people of Bethel, because Pop, before coming to Bethel, had lived in Cislago, Italy. He came here in 1906 at the age of 23. He had what you would be equivalent to a college education, and had come to Bethel in this community where it was divided into 2 sections. The other side of the tracks and this side. The other side housed most of the WASPs. This side of the track housed most of the Irish immigrants. We were one of 3 families who were of Italian ancestry here in town, and as a consequence, Pop had much to offer this community. It was he who had been to Milano, having born in Chicago. He'd been to Milano many, many, many times. He'd been to Florence, he'd been to Rome. As a matter of fact, while in Rome, he served Mass in the Vatican. He had all this rich culture before he came to Bethel. And when he came to Bethel in 1906, why, he was pawned off, as he used to say, as a Frenchman because the Italians were not very well welcomed in Bethel. And he took residence over in the boarding house on Grassy Plain Street, known as what we later known was called the Dibbles boarding house. Later became Brock's Tavern, and lived there until such time as he went back shortly after he arrived, then came back to the United States and took up residence at the White down here next to the rectory. Now, if you look down Elizabeth Street, which is to my left, there's a car coming up, by the way. If you look all the way down the end of the block and you turn right, is where Ellis had a woodworking plant called the Ellis Woodworking, and it was there that Pop got his first job in Bethel. This is in 1906 when he got here. And in the same area, across from Ellis's shop, it would be on the left side, looking down the street before you hit the track. There used to be a monumental, a place where monuments for gravestones were made. And it was there that Pop, when he had a leg broken, went and asked for a piece of marble and said he wanted to carve in marble. Well, the people there were not too enamored with Pop's request and said he was just a dumb dago and didn't know how to carve. Well, Pop would go, got the piece of marble, stayed in the outhouse of the Dibble residence over in Grassy Plain Street, which later became the Brock residence, and he did his carving. And his carving was one where we still have the piece of marble. It's an open book with the clenched fist on one side, which says, with willpower, the knowledge you derive from books, there's nothing you cannot do. And it was this spirit that Pop brought to this town, which lived up until the present day when we attended the funeral of Carlo. And the town has decided, because of Carlo's heritage, what he got from his father, they have named the addition to the Bethel Police Station the Carlo Vaghi addition. So you can see the significance, the effect that Pop had on those of us who bear his name now. So I think I've said enough for the moment here at the corner of Blackman Avenue and Elizabeth Street, in front of the house that Pop built. He built the entire exterior of the house and the interior of the house. So I think our program now is to head down Blackman Avenue, or Elizabeth Street rather, to the shop. So until we get there, ciao.
Great.
Thank
Dad,
you.
I just may add that along with the festivities today, the Knights of Columbus and the police force especially were instrumental, not only the wake and the preparation of the ceremonies, but very much a part of Uncle Carlo's life. And it was quite evident last night, well, actually, matter of fact, all day yesterday at the wake, and at the funeral today, their affection towards Carlo, which led up to the naming of the wing. But every officer I spoke with yesterday and today had nothing but praises about Carlo, and what a fine gentleman he was, and it was quite an honor to know him.
It's true, for 2 hours from 4 to 6 yesterday, the people coming into the wake, and from 7 to 9, there was no let up at all.
Yeah.
Thousands of people that I'd never seen before, heard of before, all came in and told the same story about Carlo, what an impact Carlo made on their lives.
And what a wonderful ceremony was the church today. It was a filled church, and all the family was there, and Peter presided and gave a wonderful homily, and the family took part in the readings and the preparation of the gifts. And may add also that when we left the church en route to the cemetery, we drove up around the shop, and as we came down the hill, we saw a sign, which you'll see in a few minutes, saying "Goodbye, Carl," pasted to the front wall of the shop, and it was really quite moving to see that there. And once we got to the cemetery, not only did they have a military honor guard with a 3-gun salute, I guess it was, but the gentleman played taps. So it was a moving day throughout the entire weekend.
I quite agree with you, Vincent. It's been very emotional. As you see.
Before we went downtown to the shop, we thought we'd stop along the way at the yard here. And there's the garage. Matter of fact, that's the home my father alluded to a few moments ago, which now serves as the garage. And 20 Blackman Avenue is where Uncle Johnny lived when he was alive, and now Aunt Mary and Paul live there. Coming over to the famous front steps, here's Brother Joe.
Hi, how are you? I'd like to remind you to just get closer and speak up. It's kind of hard in that audio.
Especially the wind.
It's a move up closer.
There's my mother Agnes,
How do you do, sir?
my Aunt Marie,
How do you do?
and my godmother Aunt Beatrice.
Hi.
And I believe I see Uncle Dante through the screen.
Oh, hi, Dr.
How are you,
Vaghi.
DJ?
How you doing, boy? I'm awesome.
Good.
Yeah,
Now, Aunt Vaghi, I'd like to talk to you first and sort of have you sort of say a few words into the camera and anything you want to talk about in terms of being a Vaghi or growing up in Bethel or...
Well, I can remember growing up and rolling out the barrel. When we were young kids, we had to take the barrel for wine and bring them out of the garage over there and roll them out, put the water in and wash them for days and days and days, and then Pop would say, okay, the grapes are in, and we'd go down in the basement and start plucking at the white grapes especially, and putting those in the vat, the red ones, and I can remember those good days. They were fun times.
And Aunt Marie?
Yes, I can remember. This doesn't relate to Pop, but it relates to my mother. When we were small, we had mother always used to make crabapple jelly, and she'd make tomato juice. So we used to go up to the hill up there in right in the corner there of South Street. And we would go to Miss Gasm's house and pick up all those crab apples, and we'd come down, and right here, Mama would be out here with this, with the bench from the kitchen table, and we would crank that up so we would get all of this crab apple so that we could make the jelly. And she did also the same thing with the tomato juice. We had a regular special machine, it's like a meat grinder, and we would have to do all of that. We would be a mess, and she would get all of this tomato juice in there, and that's what I remember very much about my mother.
Very fond memories.
Very fond memories of that. Yes, she was a lovely person.
How about your father?
Wonderful. Well, he was good too. He really was. And I mean, we had a lot to do around the house. We had to help my mother do a lot. I didn't have too much to do with the shop because I wasn't down there that much, but I did a lot around the house. I have wonderful memories. I know my father was very, very smart. He was a genius, inventor, you name it. And he was just always, always working. He never stopped, even though the children that he had, 10 children at one time, he worked at the shop and came home and just worked at night. He just did so much for us and our heritage, and that's something we will always carry with us and never forget.
Beautiful. And Mother, you coming into a large Italian-American family,
Yes.
from a Sicilian-American family,
Right.
you must have had some feelings when you were courting Dad and then after you got married and you met all your new brothers and sister-in-laws.
Well, I remember vividly the first time I came to Bethel. And if I recall, it was 1946, because I'm trying to remember when I got married, and I'm using that as a guide point. But I came to Bethel coming from Canada with Concetta right after my father died. And I had met Joe in Washington. He had come down to get a machine or something for his father. And it was during war days, and he had to come to the government department where I was working. Well, anyhow, when I came down from Canada, I had told Joe when he left Washington that we were going to take this trip. So he said, well, why don't you stop in Connecticut? So this could be a long story, but I don't want it to be. But anyhow, when we came down, we called, and of course they invited us to dinner. And I'm sure they'd been preparing this dinner all day because it was like a banquet, and had Concetta with me. And when I met all 6 of the Vaghi boys and 3 of the Vaghi girls, as we called them then, I remember the smiles on their face. They were all happy people. And when we left the house, I remember Concetta saying to me, I don't think I'd want to marry into that family. And I said, why? She said, well, you know, the father's the patriarch, and they wait on him hand and foot. And she says, doesn't that scare you? I said, well, I'm not that close to anybody in that family yet, so I'm not thinking about marriage. But I did marry Joe Vaghi, and I've been happy from the day I married him.
Very good.
Thank you,
Very
thank
good.
you, Aggie.
Very good, Mother. Very
All
good.
right, very good, Aggie.
And Uncle Dante, Uncle Dante, who has worked in the shop for many, many years, along with Uncle Carlo and Uncle Johnny, and has had an interest in the aviation field, several UFO sightings. Sort of giving your, and speak up, DJ, because there's a little wind here.
I was born July 31st, 19. Well,
This doesn't have to be an entire encyclical.
Well, that'll come later. Read the book. Oh, yeah, I grew up here. A lot of things I had. I was very activated. I mean, never a dull moment for me. Up one stair and down the other when I didn't cut the grass or I didn't shovel the snow. I got my real exercise when I was 10 years old, you know. It was a moving place here. The boss was strict, but he was good. I always called my father the boss first, you know. When he just looked at me, I was traveling already. Had things to do. I had shoveled all the snow with Chris Link, worked with B.J. Dolan, big contractor here. Yeah, with the snow plow, we get out, clean all the walks, and every Saturday morning my job, go in the cellar, not just to have a drink of wine. We made plenty of wine here. I seen so much wine here, that in my sleep I see wine. Well, the Lord says come to the vineyard, right? I'm in the vineyard every day down the cellar. But the wine breaks me up. So we took all the ashes out of the stove and took it out there in the garden. And we had a great big thing. I think it's still in the garage. You put it on the top of there and you turn the crank and you save the coal. That's how we save money. I mean, when you're in debt $40,000, you got to save $1, right? How do you do it? Well, we done it. So after we done all that, then I got involved in aviation, and I was 12 years old. I started the fuselage of an airplane. I talk fast to make time. I'm not a nervous guy. I can talk slow. Yeah, when I was 12 years old, we started the fuselage of an airplane. I mean, children, don't get nervous. That's just me moving up and down the rails. I mean, you'll be moving up to Mars and back by the time you hear all this, probably. But I'll still be floating in space beyond the universe, right? Wherever that is. Somewhere, you know, up there. Just look at the stars and you got it.
Bobby,
Okay,
how many
we're
sightings do you have?
Huh?
How many sightings?
Oh yeah, I checked out. I had 11 sightings to my name. I'll report to the United States government. You'll read about it. Just go to right past Air Force Base, Dayton, Ohio. That's the main one, right over center of Bethel. Big black wing, 295 feet long, but 75 foot wide, all jet black at the bottom.
Okay.
Went back to left 25-degree angle, brilliant light went through. I was beamed out. Then I had 10 more sightings after that. 2 landings over there, one in Brewster, New York, one over here in Grass Street, Estate, where I used to live. And I also climbed 8,000-foot mountain where Carl Lombard was killed in a plane crash. I took off her wedding band, poor thing, she died in a plane crash. And also I built floats down the shop. I've been in parades all over the state of Connecticut, from New London, Connecticut, all the way down to Stamford, Connecticut, up to Litchfield, Connecticut. I mean, I could talk forever, but I hope you don't get tired. So we take a break, I'll give you
Why don't we take a break here? Speaking about beamed out, we'll just take a couple minute break.
no.
Thank you very much. And Dad, if you could just say, if you could move over, if you could just maybe make 1 or 2 comments about your early childhood.
The early childhood here, of course, is one of having fun. Bethel was a small town, as I said earlier. When Pop came, it was probably 2,600. When we were born, it was about 3,200 people. It was a small town. Our road out here, they were all dirt sidewalks. We had no sidewalk. And of course, where we're standing now, this was the mecca of the community because there was nothing here. We had Victorian houses up and down the street, this side of town, all made of wood, all very beautiful, all the period architecture. But Pop came with this architecture, and we were, if I must say so, the envy of the town. And even to this day, there are people say, I wonder what it looks like in the Vaghi house, because they're so curious to see this big house. And of course, Pop had this double-car garage, which you see around here, Vincent. That's the house that used to be here, which was relocated back there. And there's an apartment, used to be an apartment up on the 2nd floor, and 2 or 3 car garage on the lower floor. And we used to have our Rio Flying Cloud was in there, 1923 Rio Flying Cloud, and we had our own big gas tank in the back. The Gulf Petroleum Company would come and fill it up, and on Sunday afternoons, why, Pop would put us all in the car and away we would go. And as time went on, more children were added, and that's how we spent our Sunday afternoons after Pop had his nap. Pop never worked on a Sunday, and the fun of growing up here was one where there were 6 boys and 3 girls total, plus all the other friends. We had the shop down the other end of town, which we'll see in a minute, and all of our friends wanted, everybody had 1 million friends. So what you saw today was actually a natural resolution of our early childhood. Everyone congregated here at the Vaghi house. They all wanted to go down to the shop. And as DJ said, we used to make wine. As B said, we'd roll out the barrels. Pop, one year, made 21 barrels of wine and gave 20 barrels of it away. That was what I would say, some of the highlights of our youth. Okay?
All right. That's great.
Now where are we going
Now,
now?
I promise you now, next time you will pick up, we will be at the shop. The hour is getting late, and I'm afraid the sun's going down, so we better get down there.
Okay.
And thank you very much, all 4 of you.
Okay, girls.
5 of you. Okay?
Fine.
Say goodbye.
All right.
Bye, everybody.
Yeah.
Hey, Vince, come up here.
We're going down.
Vince, come up here.
Well, he'll
I'm
have to
Joseph
talk.
III, and I am the youngest of the Vaghi boys from Washington. As my Aunt Marie would always refer to us, Joe's boys from Washington. And I might say when we came up here as kids, we always had a nice safe haven to come to. And Carlo and Marie and Dante were always here with open arms to greet us and to have a good summers here. I can still remember going through here on the big black bicycle and running up and down this and running up and down the stairs. And we did a lot of things around the house, cut the grass, work in the shop, deliver furniture. Some of the other things we did.
Eat ice cream.
We always had a carnival we always went to with Carlo. We had ice cream. There was also a big tree there, and I can still remember looking at a picture the other day of having all this that we would sit out here as big Sunday meals. And we'd always have, you know, Uncle John and all his family, Uncle Alfred and all his family would always get together, and Aunt Bee and Uncle Nick and all their children, and we'd have a big meals here as kids. And then afterwards, we'd all sit out here and we'd congregate and chew the fat and talk about good old times. And after every trip, we'd always go back to Washington. We'd always have a picture here. A lot of times, Aunt Marie would be in her bathrobe, you know, and she'd always say, "I got to get dressed up for these shots." But we had a lot of fun here growing up. And I'd like to turn it over now. We go upstairs to CA's room where Nino is hanging out up above there.
This is not the window of the Pope. This is Nino and in Carlo's room.
Can you see me?
We can see you, Nino. Can you see us?
Yeah, I can see you.
What's up? You can't talk long because I got a stiff neck in this position.
Oh, yeah. Well, my name is Nino. Sure, you'll know that. And I was up here taking a nap and I heard you all recording, so I had to come through the window and see what was going on. And, you know, I was just sitting there kind of, or I guess on my knees here, thinking about early childhood. And you know, it was always something to look forward to go up to Connecticut in the summertime. It was an exciting time. You know, we'd say, we're going to see Aunt Marie and Uncle Carl and Uncle Don and the rest of the family. It was really something to look forward to. I remember getting off the Merritt Parkway and say, "Dad, when are we going to be there?" He said, "Sit down, we'll be there in a few minutes." And it was always a few minutes from the Merritt Parkway, but finally we got here. And it was, you know, whether we spent a few days or a week or two, we really had a good time the entire time on our vacations up here. And it's still something I look forward to today, coming up here, because I don't think it's ever lost its flavor. And I think that's the exciting thing about Bethel and the Vaghi family up here, because they got that flavor, and I think we'll have it forever. And of course, that flavor is made with the people, and today we really experienced it, because Carlo passed away a couple days ago, and the family was together, and we all enjoyed each other and reminisced about old times, and you know, buried Carlo, and so he's with his parents and brothers and sisters, and I'm sure he'll rest in peace. And life will go on. I think life is going to be a little more demanding on us, because now we have something to reflect back to in Carlo's being in person, and make it a little more difficult for us to try to uphold that person he always, that delightful person he was. But anyway, but I had a lot of good old times up here, and hopefully in the future Amy will continue to invite us up here for weekends, and of course we'll bring grandkids up, and things will be a little different. But time has to go on, and but that's about all I have to say.
You remember Pop?
Who?
Your
Grandpa? You can't forget Grandpa. I never had the pleasure of meeting my grandmother.
I think you have remembrances of him, because I remember when you used to come up, he'd order you around, and you were like a little lamb.
I think I was very similar to Dante.
In what way?
I was running here, running there.
No,
He'd tell us to sit down, relax, and I'd get up and run around again, and he'd yell at me. That's all right. We had a good time.
I knew you had a good relationship with Pop, that's why I mentioned it.
See?
Okay, Nino, thank you very much.
Vince, how about yourself?
Well,
Maybe you can just pass the camera on to
Yeah,
Joe.
okay, Joe, I'll let her run. And
run,
excuse
yeah.
me for the.
Go over here behind the rest of the crew.
This way, a little different view.
All right, everybody, the front of the rose bush here.
It's running.
Okay. Well, I'd like to say, not to be repetitious, but I share the same sentiments that Joe and Nino said about coming up here. It was always a big thrill to come to Bethel. I can fondly remember those 9-hour drives in the car, and we thought that once we got to the harbor tunnel, we were almost there. We were just started. And then the big thrill was to be able to take the train up by yourself and have Aunt Marie meet you at the train station. And it was always a battle as to which one would get up that year. But in addition to all the other things we did up here, which you talked about, Nino talked about, going down to Parlour Field was always a big excitement. And I can fondly remember working in the shop, and after a hard day's work down there, coming up here and Carlo, who was single at the time, would throw us all into the truck and we'd go down and get some ice cream at Carvel's. And that was always a fond memory. And I think the nicest thing that I have now to look back upon is when I come up here now with my 3 children. I know Teresa and Vincent play almost every day with these wooden toys that Carlo made for them last year, and they call them Carlo's tools. And they go around the house banging things. Vincent's banged everything in our home with his hammer that Carlo made for him. And that'll be some memory that they will have of Uncle Carlo. And although we all have many memories, you know, as mentioned, we buried Carlo today. And the fondest memory I have of Carlo of being such a kind and gentle man who always had a smile on his face and could talk to anybody and looked forward to talking to anybody. And I'll never forget the times I come down from Holy Cross, and he and Anne Marie and Uncle Dante would always welcome me and my brother Peter, and any of my friends from Holy Cross always welcome here. And I know that that will continue, and Aunt Marie, I promise we'll keep coming back.
I hope so.
And as I mentioned to you the other day, don't check out on us anytime soon.
No, we won't. We won't, Vincent, never.
Okay?
Never, never. Right.
Thank you for
Right.
anything,
Always
and
will.
I guess we will go to the shop now, won't we, Joe?
Yeah, let's go on down the shop.
Okay, let's fade to black. I sincerely hope the sun is not too bright to obstruct this beautiful view. You have the hills in the background, the trees, the May afternoon, and there's the Vaghi Woodwork Company, started after the turn of the century by my grandfather, Joseph Vaghi Sr. If made of wood, we make it. There's the front door. Excuse the partial obstruction by the overhang extending out from the historic train station, which still stands. And that's the bench on the right where Dante has worked for so many years. Look across the other side to the windows where Carlo has done so much work. This is some of Dante's UFO paraphernalia, and yes, a very moving sign put up this morning by Carlo, badge number 3. It's the badge he wore during his special duty tour as a Bethel Special Police some 20 years. And you can imagine the moving feeling we all had when we came by the shop this morning after the church ceremony on the way to the gravesite, when we saw this sign up here, and it's quite a touching feeling to see goodbye Carlo number 3. I happened to be riding in the hearse where Carlo was, and the driver was nice enough to stop at that time for a moment out of respect for Carlo and all the years of service he put in at the shop, and appreciation of all the customers that come in through these doors. I'm sure Carlo appreciated that gesture. Now the future of the shop hangs in limbo. And only the passage of time will be able to dictate what the future holds. We just missed the 520 a couple seconds ago coming through from New York. This is South Street. And I will cut it off in a second and go on down and join you by the side of the shop with my father and brother and Aunt Beatrice and Aunt Marie. Carlo Vaghi, 62 years old. Greatest uncle and nephew could have. This is the historic train station in front of the shop. I'm standing here on the tracks looking down towards the area where Mulaney Stores stood for many years, Greenwood Avenue. The back of me is South Street. And up South Street is where I stood just a few moments ago. name is P.T. Barnum. Hello, ladies.
Hi.
Where's my father?
He's inside.
Okay, I hope we can get some light in there.
Oh, I hope so.
Is
The
it-
lighting isn't that great in there.
Is that door open?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Let me sit down in the front here.
As mentioned earlier, this is the front entrance to the shop. You can see the cross, which my father will allude to later.
Really not the front entrance.
Not the front entrance? That's right, this is not South Street.
Turn off it, then walk over there.
Kind of walking across the tracks and towards the front entrance, which is side entrance. And
Over now.
we'll go inside, chat with my dad for a second. If it's a little bit dark inside, I apologize, but I think we have enough light.
Welcome, Vincent. I'm glad that this is the side entrance to the shop. The shop being, its official address is 77 South Street, Bethel, Connecticut. And the earlier shots you saw from up on the hill gave you a wide panoramic view of the total shop. Now, the shop was built I would say, in the mid-20s. Prior to Pop building and moving into the shop, to your right, where we now have a bank, used to be the location of Pop's shop originally. It was owned by the Terry Lumber Company, and Pop had a shop there for many years, and it was just recent, the last couple of years, was the building torn down. In its place, we have a series of small stores there. However, there's a separation wall between that structure there and the shop. And it was put up when Pop built the shop in about 1926 or so. And because we were going 2 stories high, we had to put this 12-inch fire separation wall. The building that stood here at one time was an old residence. It was torn down and made way for this 2-story structure, which is some 100 feet long and 30 feet in width. It's all made of frame, and he occupied it just prior to the 1929 crash. And needless to say, the crash brought some devastating situations for Pop. He was in the throes before then of building his folding sea tables, which was a table that was designed to be used as a picnic table, either in the home or at the seashore. And he developed all of the tools, all of the equipment to make these sea tables, and had about 25 to 30 or 40 people building them. They were on sales at Macy's down in New York. They were sold all over the country. Then the crash came and very few people were going on picnics. However, Pop continued with his principal work, which was woodworking, cabinet making, storefront work, additions, alterations, furniture making, and so forth. So I invite you to come in and take a look at the shop. It's a bit truncated today as to what it used to be. At one time, we occupied both floors of the building. During the course of the years, and particularly during the 30s, part of the shop was rented out to the St. Pierre Smirnoff. They made the vodka here. It was the first location for the vodka manufacturing in the United States, later bought by the Heibleim, and is now located in Hartford. The 2 stories, the upper 2 story, the full upper story and half of the ground floor was then rented to the St. Pierre Smirnoff people. Later, when they left, the war, number 2 war, came along, and it was rented out to the Capital Machine Company. And they made parts for the Norden bomb site, which was very instrumental during the World War number 2. Following that, after the war, the unique pipe joint cement people occupied part of the shop, and then subsequent to their leaving, why we took over the total shop, and the upper floor became inactive. So
How about the rubber company?
Oh yes, at one time, this was just before the war, we had the Topstone Rubber Company here, which is, they made these masks. that in gargoyle-looking, Santa Claus-looking, it had masks made to look like President Roosevelt, and ducks and Donald Ducks and any imaginary creature was made in rubber. It was sprayed and sold here. And the shop was occupied then by probably 50 to 60 girls who did the spraying and did the cosmetics on these rubber forms that were made. So why don't we go inside and take a look at what is now. It's a skeleton of what it used to be. We had a very thriving, productive woodworking shop at the time. We had as many as 15 cabinet makers working. Now we're reduced, since Carlo's demise, to DJ. Dante is the last of the Mohegan, the last of the 7 generations of cabinet makers. And I might say that in terms of Vaghi carrying on the woodworking business, I think we've come to a happy ending. So why don't we come inside, shall we?
Sure.
I'm standing at a typical workbench. At one time there were at least 10 of these scattered throughout the shop, where the individual woodworker, the cabinet maker, would work his craft. And now when I say work his craft, he may take a piece of furniture such as this that needed a leg mending, a back mending, a new spindle, or as you can see if you'll pan your camera down here, Vincent, this was brought in and it says make another one of these. You can see someone brought it in, put together with tape, and our chore is to make a duplicate of this and install it in its proper location on someone's rocking chair. Here's an antique baby's cradle. Do not glue until such. Well, there's some instructions here what needs to be done. But these are the kinds of things we find ourselves doing now, as opposed to making very exotic cabinet work, very exotic. What Joseph has just done is to turn on a bandsaw. This is what I would call one of our most recent acquisition, recent in the last 20 years. Now, one of the original bandsaws, if you'll turn it this way, was this piece here. This is a large bandsaw, which does the same thing as the one you were just looking at, except you could take logs, cut logs, slice logs, and make boards out of it. And this was often used. This was part of the machinery. What you see here now is this is where DJ does most of his work.
DJ dozes?
DJ does most of his work there. If you turn around this way, Vincent, we find this is what they call a planer. A planer, you put boards through here, and it reduces the thickness of a board to whatever thickness you desire. If it's 1.25 inches thick and you want to make it 1.5 inches, you turn this crank to the level you want it, start the machine going, and it would go. And you let it go. And you put the board through, and that's the way it was done. Now, as kids, it was our job very often to one of us be on the back feeding it, and then someone on the other side receiving it. This piece of machinery here is a saw table, which is used for milling lumber to whatever dimension or size. If you wanted a piece of wood that is twice as large as this and you want to reduce it to this size, you would loosen this, move this over to the size you want, start the machine, and away you go. I won't do the cutting for you, but this is one of the most universal of all of these machines used in a woodworking shop. Further on down, we have a more recent acquisition. This is a grinder for making knives for the shaper. Now, I'll tell you what a shaper is, but before we get to that, this is really an antique. This particular one. Oops, sorry, the belt came off.
That's right.
But
Isn't this where Grandpa worked?
this is Grandpa used to work here in later years, and he's working on all of his inventions. And you can see that some of the elements here are quite antique in nature. When I said he made cutters, if I may open this door here, see in here, there's all sorts of cutters, different shapes. These are metal things that have to be ground down. Now, this is sharp as a razor, and I'll show you where these will go in a minute. But they have all strange configurations, as you can probably see the various shapes to it. Now, these, when put into a machine, will make a molding. A molding is a strip of wood that has some curves. Now, this is made on this type of machinery here. Pop would work here, or the machinist, and grind away until they got the configuration that they wanted. In this particular case, you've got an OG here, and this is another one that perhaps matched something that was designed and made by hand back in the time of George Washington. Now, a shaper is the unit of machinery where when you take those particular pieces of steel, you would, if you swing around here, Vincent, you can see this. This is a shaper. Now, this is the cutter we were speaking of a minute ago. Now, this will make a flute, which is a concave cut into a piece of wood. There's one there, and then there's one here. There's two of them, and they go in tandem. They're ground, they're set in here. When the machine is started up, you take a piece of wood, you slide it along here, and as that thing comes around, it makes a cut in it to whatever shape you happen to have when you put the cutter into the machinery. So this is called a shaper. Now, I don't turn it on. This is called a shaper. Now, over here to my left, Vincent, is a, no, you didn't do that, is a sandpaper machine. I don't know whether
It'll get a little dark over here, Dad.
enough light here for you, but why don't we try it and see if we have any light? No, we didn't get it, but it must be over there. The purpose of a sandpaper machine is to take a piece of lumber that is a little bit on the rough side, and you want to sand it and make it smooth. You would turn the machine on. This belt would go round and round and round, and as it goes round and round, you take this instrument, you put it on there with the piece of wood setting on the table, and as it goes around and round, you move it back and forth, and it gives it a nice even sanding, so a large piece of wood or a small piece of wood can be made to be just like the surface of glass. So this is called a sanding machine. Now, right here to my left, Vincent, is another small shaper, similar to one. I can't take it out, but you can see me spinning the spindle around. There's a cutter on it. This goes about 32,000 revolutions per minute. That's the machine is very versatile. Pop had that for many, many years. I know there's a sign here, and you see these all over the shop, Vincent. It says, "Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Happy Blessed New Year. Ho, ho, ho." We find these little ejaculations all over the shop. This is called this piece of machinery here is called a boring machine.
Light, please.
The
light doesn't work.
this light doesn't work. I don't know where the, well,
Oh, that one.
that was on over there. But this is a boring machine, Vincent, and this was used, and is used when taking two pieces of wood and you want to clamp them together. If I wanted to glue these two pieces together so to be one piece, why, I would drill a hole here on this one, maybe three holes here, put a little wood plug in there so it sticks out, and it would line up and they would go one into the other. Now, in order to do that, you take this piece of wood, you bring this down, you hold it in place, and you push on this lever, and it would bring the thing forward and drill the holes. And so to be uniform, you have blocks here to control where they would be, and this is called a boring machine. And this was used very extensively years ago when almost everything was done with dowels. Nowadays,
It looks like a very boring machine.
it is a boring machine. If you had to be behind it all day long, it became rather boring.
Oh, look who came in here.
Oh, the back door. I guess this is like the front entrance almost
The
in a way.
alleyway.
The alleyway.
The alley, we
This
call
is the
the
alley.
alleyway.
Let's
Yeah.
take
And
a
who's-
break.
who's
and
standing
ask
here?
What your little story about the shop,
Can we go outside
Well,
and
we've
just...
been investigating the other shop over there.
Oh, we're...
Looking up there,
don't
raccoon
back away
feet
that
and
far.
everything.
Speak louder. Now this is... Dad, you may just want to... Well, my neck is still okay. Tell what this is up
Where
here.
you're looking at is the upper floor of the shop in the alley. This big box here to your right is a unit now because of the environmental protection people. All the sawdust that we make is exhausted and it's dumped into this box here, and later on there's a slide here that's slid back and all the sawdust is carried away. It's a little needs a bit of repair work right now, but as I say, we are on the decline as far as the woodworking business is concerned. At one time, it was a very thriving business. Now, up to my left is the storage bins. At one time, these were chock full of lumber. The lumber would come by railroad. They would be on a freight car out here on the side tracks, and each board, one by one, would be taken off, put on a roller, sent down, and stored in this area you see here, both on the lower level and the upper level. I see something here that I haven't seen in years, and it's a little push broom. Alfred, what they use this long one for?
Oh, wait a minute, Alfred's coming here. Let's just introduce
Well, that was
the young, wait, excuse me, Uncle Alfred. Hello, how are you?
the genius part of, I think, Brother Carlo, to clean the sawdust out of the pit here,
Okay.
or out of the bucket.
That's this thing that we're speaking of before you get to Carlo,
Alfred.
Vincent.
Yeah, that was to clean all the sawdust out, and then from there, we put it in barrels, and we put it down the cellar, and that would help to heat the mill shop.
This
We all had a hand in that.
this is Alfred. He's the youngest of the 9 children,
And the last Mohegans.
and I believe it looks to me like you just woke up.
I did. So
Did you?
We have to excuse my
That's okay.
my eyes.
But we've already
My appearance.
we've already been at the house. We walked down
Did
the
you
street, we took a shot from the front of the shop, and now we're walking through the shop.
Oh,
And
wonderful. Well, there's a lot of history here, I'm sure.
do you want to just give me about a 2-minute history of what your inside feelings are as being a Vaghi, growing up in Bethel, working in the shop, and
Well,
I know I sort of caught you off guard here.
Yeah, you sure did. But anyway, as a youngster, the story I always remember is that when my father was building the boat, one night they all came home and I wasn't there. And I wondered, where the heck was Al? So lo and behold, they said, gee, maybe he's still down in the shop. So I don't know who came down to check me out, but sure enough, there I was, sound asleep in the boat.
Is that right?
This was the metal boat, the lead boat that my father built. It still was up the house. So we still had that. But my job, of course, as a youngster, was to sweep the floor and sort nails and the screws so that the workers could continue on their work. Of course, I wasn't here that much during the year because I went off to school. But my memories are very fond here.
Mm-hmm.
And,
Well, that's great.
I enjoyed being here, and that was all part of the history of the legend of the Vaghi woodwork, I guess.
Well, we went through most of the machinery in there. And,
Oh, did you know?
As we were walking through,
Uh-huh.
my memories are seeing basically Uncle Johnny and Carlo and DJ, and it's sort of eerie walking through there knowing that Johnny and Carlo aren't working there anymore.
Yes.
There's a lot of machinery in there to work, and I can remember vividly seeing Carlo in there hauling those woods around and seeing Uncle Johnny spray. We haven't been to the spraying area yet.
Oh, well, that's kind of
That's,
the
John's
dark
area.
area right now.
Yeah.
But John did most of actually all the spraying, and then after, of course, he passed away, then Carlo did
Yeah.
the spraying, and he did a fine job. Carlo initially, I guess, was very difficult for him after John passed away, but Carlo took it upon himself and he gave it his best shot. And I think he did a very commendable job.
Now, you've been now working for Perkin-Elmer, and I understand 2 years ago you had your 25th anniversary?
Oh no, Lord no, 28.
28.
2 years ago, it's 28, yeah.
28 years. So you've been at Perkin-Elmer for how, 28 years now?
No, 2 years ago, 30 years now.
30 years. So you're going 30 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this summer you're right now and probably being on the shopping block to be bought out.
That's right, Perkin-Elmer is being sold.
Is that right?
Danbury, the one up in Danbury, the government sector of Perkin-Elmer is being sold because they felt that it's just too big, and the board of directors felt that there's a possibility of a takeover, and instead of doing that, they decided to sell 3 parts of it, and one of the parts is the government sector. So we are just waiting till July or August when hopefully they'll have a new buyer.
Well, Alfred, earlier you missed the first part of the segment of the film. My father started off a little history of the house, and Dante had a little say about what the house meant to him, and your father and your mother.
Yes.
Anne Marie said something, Aunt B said something. What is the house, the 32 Elizabeth Street? Something looking back, maybe about your father or your mother, some sentimental journey that you may just tell us a little bit about. Vince?
No, I'm listening. Keep talking.
Well, yeah. Well, of course, with the house, of course, that's the old, I call the old fine piece of architecture that Pop did. I don't think it's been duplicated since. But my memories was making the wine.
Is that,
Oh.
wait, hold on a minute. Oh, Dante said he made the wine.
Well, we all made the wine. You know, we all got involved, you know, and
Team effort.
that was a team. That's right. And come September, the first part of September,
Roll up the barrel.
I hated to do it, but we had to go down to New Haven with the Terry Lumber Company truck, big flatbed truck, down to the railroad yard there and pick up, oh Lord, it must have been a couple hundred boxes of grapes.
From where? Where were they from?
From California.
Is that right?
And they came in to the shipping yard there at the New Haven. And we used to go by the elbow, and all the time it was Yale versus Brown, that football game. And of course we had many football games up here, but coming back, we did our tour duty, as they say, is making the grapes.
Did he ever use the grapes in the yard there, along the sidewalk?
No, I don't think so. If they did, maybe my mother made it for some
Table wine.
no, some grapes, grape
We'll
jelly.
get back in there.
But other than that, we didn't do, you know.
I want to make one more comment. We talked about longevity in your years at Perkin-Elmer. We have someone here who has worked at her trade more than she probably would want to admit. Aunt Marie, how many years have you been with the Bethel school system?
Vincent, do you really want to know that?
Well, I don't, not necessarily that I want to know, but I think people watching this years from now may want to know. I mean, you are an institution.
Why am I?
Well, I will say if you won't. Aren't you approaching 50 years there?
No, I went to work in 1941. October 41, I went to work for the school system.
It's almost 39 years, Aunt
And
Marie.
it's almost 49 years. It'll be 49 years in
49.
October. 48 years in October.
It's coming up to their 50th.
48 years in October.
Well, if I may say so, you don't look a day older than you did 15, 20 years ago.
Oh, thank you, Vincent. That's a compliment.
The big question is, how much longer will you work there?
Well, as long as I am able to, health-wise.
You don't have a mandatory retirement?
No, we don't. 70, I guess.
70 years.
But I have.
70 years old or 70 years?
That's a long ways off.
And Aunt Beatrice, she no longer lives in the state of Connecticut, although she's probably up here more than she's in North Carolina.
That's for sure.
She and Uncle Nick retired, how many years ago was it?
5.
5, and you're now residing in, tell us where you're residing.
Emerald Isle, North
Emerald Isle.
Carolina. Oh,
And you're,
yes.
and you're enjoying it?
Very much. Miss everyone up here, all the beautiful people, but sometimes we have to make changes, and that is one of ours. But I have the children, Tina especially down there, and they visit me during the holidays, vacation time. I love it.
And where are Vanessa and Jim?
Tennessee and Kingsport,
And David and Nikki have carried on the tradition of here at Barzetti Welding.
of course. Yeah, they're doing their thing here,
And
taking over their dad's old job and work.
as of 2 hours ago, Valerie was still here.
Yeah, she is. She'll be here. How long Valerie will hang in here is another guess.
Very
And
good.
then it's off
Yes.
to China, right?
Could be the next one.
And Dad, you're still in Washington, I understand.
Yes, I find myself after some 42, 43 years in Washington. Yes, 1947. That makes it how many years? That's
Coming up
42.
42 years that we've been down there, and of course it's always an excitement to come back home. And going through the shop with you this afternoon, it's brought back many happy memories. If you don't mind, we'll go in and I'll show you some of the things. First of all, I'd like to say that when Pop built the shop, why, Nino was alive, as was all of us. So Nino, upon graduating from high school, was made the official general manager of the Vaghi Woodwork Company. And I think back in somewhere inside you'll see the sign which made it official, Nino Vaghi, general manager. And he worked here from then on until he died in 1952. He died in 1952 at the age of 37, after which Johnny and Carlo took over the operation of the woodworking, and John died in 1977, and now Carlo died in 1989. And Dante is the last of the Mohegans working here in the shop. It's a Herculean task on his part, and what the disposition of the shop will be, the business that is, remains to be seen. But do follow us in.
But hopefully it'll be many, many more years
Oh, of
until
course.
another Vaghi
Of course.
meets his maker.
Of course. Now, looking here, this is what we call a drill press. It's for making holes into steel. You put what they call a bit. A bit, I don't have one here handy, but a bit is an instrument that when it's turning, and you push down, will make a hole into a piece of wood, a piece of steel, and in this business, there's always need for that type of an operation. This particular piece of equipment here is a vertical sander. If you take a piece of wood that is rough and you want to sand it to make it smooth, you see that's just as smooth as the proverbial cats, you see, and that's what this is. This particular piece of equipment here is a very powerful and a dangerous piece of equipment if you don't know how to use it. This is called a radial arm or an extension arm crosscut saw. I'm not sure where the switch is on this one. It's made by Skill, but the purpose of that is to, if I don't know where this, you ready? Now there are two. That's called a crosscut saw. Turn it off.
Well, let me ask you a question. You mentioned that's a very dangerous instrument. Like over the years, I'm sure there have been some people who've had some injuries in the shop.
Yes, there have been a few. There have been a few. I think almost every piece of machinery has its lethalness, and only if you're careful and use every precaution and pay total attention to what you're doing, that you're able to
Is that
come
our
out unscathed.
Is that our grandpa lost a couple of his fingers?
No, he lost his. Incidentally, he was on that sanding machine that I showed you a little bit ago. He was working on that and scratched, got a scratch on his hand, which blood poison set in, and eventually lost the use. One finger was lost, the other two were paralyzed, and on the left hand he had the index and the thumb finger. Now, as I mentioned, well, you can't see it now, but I did mention that Nino was our general manager, and to prove that, there's a little sign up here that you can't, I don't think you can see it, Nino Vaghi, general manager. Now, that was back when Nino was graduated from high school, back in 1935, I believe it was, that he was graduated from. So, now we won't bother going upstairs, but the upstairs is...
How about the water bubble? What happened to that?
Well,
The spring water that we used to have.
That's right.
And we used to get the water over at Grosso's. And then we used to go up to Matthew Mosca. And my job was to go up to Matthew's house, which was in Reading, and get 3 5-gallon jugs of water from his spring water, and then bring it down and make sure we have plenty of water here for the men in the hot days so they can refresh themselves. But after a while, we stopped doing that because we had local water here that was almost as good, I guess, so we went to that. But that was the water fountain for this year. Joe, did you mention, did you show the drill press, how that was drilled and so forth, the hose? Because I remember helping Sid Law when they were building the cabinets and tables for Providence College. Many, many months. I used to work down here, a hole in the one end of the board for Sid. And then we used to get the dowels, and I used to have to bang the dowels through because the dowels were long cylinder, very plain, and we have to rough them up so that the glue was hold better into the holes. So many hours I was there just banging away to make these grooves in the dowels.
Can you and my father give me the names of as many of the people you can recall who worked here?
I think Brother Joe knows more than the ones in my days. I remember was Sid Law and Mario Mosca and George Jennings and Tony Tartaglia, and see, that's about all I know.
lots of names.
Brother Joe had to go back a few years.
Yeah, we're going all the way back. I think the oldest one I remember is John Stryker, his father, old Mr. Stryker, his son John Stryker, the machinist, and Mr. Ambler from up in New Milford, Now these were real old timers. They must have been born in 1890, 1870, because they were a long way. And Ralph de Robertis, William de Robertis from Italy, he was one of the workers early on with the Italians. His son Ralph worked here. Ugo Mijano, Pop's first cousin, worked here. Battista Annoni, who is also our second cousin, he worked here. He's from Italy. And going on, we had Paul Rockwell. His son still works here in the shop, assists here, but Paul was one of the early ones. And
we can't
as
forget,
Alfred said, Tony Tartaglia.
We can't forget George Drum. I understand his talking to David today. He said his father was down here helping making the seat table.
Well, as I mentioned earlier, when we made the folding table, the seat table, we had maybe 75 people working here, and there were many people.
Oh my!
Many people around that came in and worked.
Mm-hmm.
So
How about Tony? How about was it Tony? You mentioned Tony?
Mario Mosca was perhaps the premier cabinet maker that we had here, and of course you saw his son Matthew this afternoon and yesterday at the funeral parlor. He was a very, very fine cabinet maker. He came from Piemonte in Italy. Before he came here, he worked on some of the big luxury liners, doing the cabinet work for the luxury steamliners. That's where he cut his teeth. And then, of course, we had people came in that came and went, but for the most part, those were the stalwarts.
But Tony.
Tony Tartaglia,
Mention
yes.
him.
Well, yes.
Yeah, I understand that Pop took him out of trade school. He was a junior. He says, "Come on out of trade school. Come on down. We'll teach you the trade." And I guess he's been here. He was here about 32 years.
About that long, yes.
Yeah.
And of course, Sid Law and was here for these many years.
Yes.
And then, of course, all of us are 9 kids, 6 boys and 3 girls. All of us played a role here at one time or other.
Speaking of playing a role, I think always standing near the trap door where we used to. I can remember as a boy coming down here and having to shovel the ashes down on the trap door. I think on the other side over here.
He's on over near the old
We
band's
shoveled
hall.
down to
The old
Alfred.
big band's hall.
Good job.
Right here at the end of the planer. The joiner, there's a place we used to shove it down through a hole.
Right.
And as Alfred just pointed out a bit ago, when we were then required to accumulate all the sawdust and put it in this big container out here, then it was not, you didn't pick it up around the machine as much.
How about the love your father had for propellers and his inventions? What were some of his inventions, and why was propellers such a fascinating venture for him?
Well, you mentioned the propellers, without going into that, Pop was infatuated or fascinated by anything that was imaginative. From carving in marble to building boats, flying airplanes, writing about social conditions. He touched on all of them, and for me to just give you a thumbnail sketch would not be fair at this time. I think if you want to know more about that,
Read the book.
there are enough documents around that you can pick it up.
History by itself.
Suffice to say that Pop was a thinker, he was a doer, and above all, he was a good father.
There you go.
Can you mention one?
okay.
Mention just 1 or 2 words about what Uncle Johnny did here? You mentioned
go
about
over
the
his
spraying.
area.
Want to go to the spraying area?
Well,
I mean, that's
the
side of
spraying area is nothing more than the booth where when furniture needed either to be refinished or new furniture was to be finished, everyone knows how you spray an automobile or spray a car. Well, this is doing the same thing except you're spraying furniture. And Johnny, like the rest of us, became involved in every aspect of the woodworking, from sorting nails, as Alfred pointed out early on, to sweeping up the sawdust, to working at the bench. And what Dante did, what Johnny did, Alfred did, I did, Nino did, was all pretty much out of the same boat of cloth.
He took over after Uncle Nino died.
After Uncle Nino died, Johnny and Carlo took over. Then after Johnny died, the mantle fell on Carlo, and Carlo's dead now. We'll see what DJ. We don't know what the future holds for the Vaghi woodwork company.
Do you want to show us the Regina Maris?
Well,
that's a, let's walk over there.
He's calling Regina. We can go in the other room, and there's just it's a potpourri of many things over there. The Regina Maris is a little boat that Pop was working on. Potpourri.
All right.
Let's walk.
Thank you.
I want to get you over in the other room there. All right.
You're gonna pull up these lights as we go back
I'll
out?
do that in a second. Let's just walk through here. What'd you buy, Mom?
I brought a couple books.
All right.
And,
Oh, I hear a familiar cough. Can I just walk this way for a second? Jeannie? Jean? This is my wife of almost 7 years. We're walking. Did you buy something, Jean?
Yes. You don't have to advertise that.
Can you just, Jeannie, you want to just say a couple words about what your feelings are towards the shop and to Bethel and your experiences having been a Vaghi for some 7 years?
Well, I'm grateful for the opportunity.
Well, you can stand next to him.
No, I can't talk anymore. You know I can't do that, and you're making me very uncomfortable. No.
Please?
No. No.
You've had a very good time every time you've been up there.
Yes. Wonderful time.
You're too close.
I'll be sorry not to. No, that's not true. Don't do this.
Okay. Where damn we go?
Sit back up.
We're finishing up the last leg of this thing. Viewing Aunt B from the back end here.
Oh, you don't need that, Vincent.
This is the entrance. This is a sign that I believe was put up just a couple of years ago. The charges, they never had really charges until Dante took over about a year ago.
Let's get this wall in here. Come on here.
This is the area where Carlo worked. This was Carlo's desk right here.
This is one of the.
That's that picture you have, you know.
Carlo did a lot of his phone work from this desk right here. His actual desk is behind one of those filing cabinets over there.
That's over there.
And if you
That's a
if you will turn with me, as I turn with you, and this is the famous door which has associated memorabilia. There are the pictures up there of the 4 or 5 boys in the different branches of the service they were in. And it has everything from the shop to the Uncle Johnny to another picture of the shop and different people in the news. And there's a picture of Jesus. He's always in the news.
Vince, Uncle Alfred's got something here. He wants to
I'm
explain.
working my way over Uncle Alfred. You can see several. There you are.
Oh, here we go. This was a picture of my father.
That's a glare.
Oh, it is?
Oh, that's perfect. That's just like that.
Making the first airplane. I think this was the principal of the helicopter. I'm not sure, or of the airplane. I think Brother Joe.
Do you know what year that was?
I think 1923. I think this was. And in addition to this, this was the famous amphibious boat, 1927. I don't know if you get a good shot of that, Vincent, or not, but that was the one that I believe we went down to the Bronx Zoo.
Isn't that in the garage right now?
That's in the garage now, stored away, and hopefully someday we'll reinstate it to its original. You know? It is. It goes on land and sea, and that was the forerunner of the World War II amphibious duck. And there's many other things here that.
There's a picture of Carlo as a policeman in his uniform. Did you see that?
Where is that?
Oh yeah.
Right there.
Yeah, shot up there.
Where? I don't see it.
Let me take this
Open
here.
your other eye.
Over this
Oh, yes.
here. You see that now?
As a matter of fact, I have that picture.
Oh, you do?
I just got it today, and I'm going to take it home to have a picture made.
Okay.
And below that is my grandfather.
Well, as you can see, there's many different things hung up here that goes through many, many years of history. That's all.
And I may add that I think Carlo probably put most of these up here. Wouldn't you say so, Uncle Alfred?
Well, Carlo, yes, he did. Johnny put some, of course, Dante put up his stuff, along with the UFO stuff. Excuse me. But, yes, I think Carlo was the fellow that did most of it. This is Carlo and Governor O'Neill, presently of Connecticut, and his wife, Anne Lorraine. This was the St. Mary's centennial we had, and we invited the governor down for communion breakfast, and Carlo got to talk to him, and of course, Carlo was a great communicator. He talked to everyone, and as I said, he's well liked by everyone.
I think that was ever so evident in the people that came last night.
It sure was, and I don't know if you saw this here. We have all the boys that graduated from Providence College. He was saluting the Friars in the 1987 NCAA tournament.
Very good.
That was his doing.
This is the area where the spraying was in, right, Alfred?
This was the spraying area.
Can't get too close.
Brother John, which Brother John worked many hours, and after he passed away, Carlo took over, and this was the gun that he used, along with the old canister here. And we had the old fan going, and
I can remember as a little boy coming in here seeing Uncle Johnny in that big apron draped over his body with a mask over his face.
The big brown apron.
Yeah. I guess in more recent years, isn't this been Carlo's desk over here?
This was Carlo's desk here. And as you can see, Carlo had many communication with different people, many letters, and so forth. And this was his operation as far as bills and communication goes.
Yeah, number 3.
Badge 3. That's it. That was CA. Yeah.
It was quite moving to see that sign in the shop that I was just mentioning earlier. I think the
yes.
thing that moved me more than anything else, not only the people that showed up last night, but when I saw the number 3, welcome, goodbye, Carlo, and then when they played the taps up there at St. Mary's.
That was Carlo playing the taps.
Do you know who that was?
No, I don't. I don't know.
Those two things, the sign on the front of the shop and then the taps, really shook me up a little bit.
And this Regina Ramirez was possible many ventures that he went into. It's something that he tried out. I don't know if we ever did take it up to the lake or not. But and below there, I don't know if you can get a shot of it or not, but this was the old wine press.
Speak loud.
Press the wine, the grapes. And of course we didn't have any room, so we brought them down the shop. But these are valuable things for historical reason.
Mm-hmm.
The wine press, I didn't know if the rest of them knew that.
I'm getting a little darker around closer.
Yeah, it is getting darker, I guess.
I'm going to walk back over. Maybe we better walk out that door.
All right.
We have not been that way yet. There's the Pope watch. We welcomed all.
Where?
We have to lock the door over there.
I guess we'll say goodbye to everybody, right?
Yes, bye.
I want to thank you all very much.
77 South Street, Bethel, Connecticut.
How many years has this been in existence?
When was this built, Joe?
Well, this was built in the mid to late 20s and got underway making all the sea tables. Then the Depression of 1927 came and it made it rough all the way around. What are you doing?
I was going to go.
No,
Are you here?
Okay.
Hey, hold on. Dad, get back there.
What was that, 1927?
Well, I would say
What's
maybe.
that commercial?
Back there, Ray.
Well, don't lean back.
We can do a commercial.
Okay, I want to thank you all very much for the directing, the producing, and the video of this
The
project.
players here.
The players, and we may pick you up later on. Who knows where we may see you next? But if we don't, thank you very much. Ciao, and may God rest the soul of Uncle Carlo.
Ciao.
Okay.
Watch
Bye-bye now. Just 5 hours ago, we laid Carl to rest up on these hills. And Brother Joe, myself, my wife Jean have returned to complete this tape to get final perspective of Bethel, May 1989, the death of Carlo A. Vaghi. It's the entrance to the cemetery, and I'll shut it off here and we'll meet you up to the graveside of the Vaghi plaque.
This was the gate that my grandfather designed, and if you notice, it's the gate of heaven, and it shows the inscription at the bottom is the Holy Family, and it shows life and death. It symbolizes the gate of paradise. Here to your left, you have Joseph Vaghi, born in Chislago, Italy, August 17th, 1883, died August 21, 1964. Next is his wife, Bettina Vaghi, born in Chislago, May 26, 1890, died February 3, 1956. And then you have second eldest brother, John Joseph Vaghi, who was a sergeant in the U.S. Army, World War II, born in 1919, died in 1977.
I'll walk to the rear end now.
Over here you have, if you go right down here, you have the grandmother, or mother of Joseph Vaghi Sr., Nonna Carolina, and she was born in Chislago in 1861, December 20th, and she died October the 3rd, 1926. And Maria Vaghi, first child of the family, born in April 17th, 1917, and died just at age 2 in 1919. And next here you have
This is Uncle Nino.
Uncle Nino, if you can't see, and he died in 1952, May 17th.
Just the day before Uncle Carlo died.
And then, as you can see,
The shadow. Let's apologize all of our shadows here. This is the gravesite of Uncle Carlo, who was buried about 6 hours ago this morning, around noontime.
one thing that you can't read the inscription on the back of the memorial, but the memorial was made in November of 1952, just a few months after Uncle Nino died. My grandfather was moved by his death, and he made this memorial for the family. Also buried here, which you cannot see, is Uncle Alfred's child, buried here. Tommy, who was aged 3 days old, I believe.
Peter performed the service at the church as well as the service here at the gravesite, and they had a honor guard salute as well as taps was played. I believe I mentioned that earlier. And the whole service here took about 20-30 minutes, and that was it. Well, that ends the day, and over the hills of Bethel. A gorgeous day.
Yeah.
Couldn't have asked for nice. As Carla would say, it's opening day weather. And the one memory I have growing up is that every time we would leave Bethel, with my parents coming and going, and every trip we would stop here on the way into Bethel and stop here on our trip back home to Washington. And it was a habit. We would stop here, the whole family would get out, kneel down and say a prayer right at the site where I'm standing today. And that's a custom that, a habit actually, that we just did every year.
All I could do is keep trying. If anybody could please lend me a hand.
Excuse me, ma'am. Can you move out?
Joe, why are you being so abrupt?
I'm holding the door for her here.
Hey, Joe. What's
What
happening?
you
You just
want?
kicked the lady out. She's trying to get some money to get home tonight.
Yeah, they're all with panhandling.
Maybe she doesn't. They used to do this years ago too when we were growing up. I forget where it was. It might be just another way.
You want here? One more page for you.
Yeah. Mom, how you doing?
You get your
Dad, you want some peanuts here? Joe, I got 3 left. You want more
Mary?
peanuts?
Huh?
Want peanuts, Joe?
Now give it to Elizabeth. She wants them. Mary, how you doing over there?
I don't want to give this to here.
How about Mommy? Mommy might want those.
Dad, you ready for the trip?
Yeah, I know.
big
Yeah.
nut eater.
We're leaving Joseph in about 7 minutes
Eat them,
for
Nina.
Bethel.
They're good
Oh,
for you.
good.
Non-stop directly to Bethel.
Good.
That it's something that
too big,
hasn't happened in years. Non-stop.
I like that. That's the
We
way to
used to
do
have to go to South Norwalk and switch a
it.
train.
You wait till Monday,
I'm
see what we do.
surprised to see all these cars go through Bethel.
A lot of trains.
I wish they pay taxes as they go
Yeah.
through.
Is,
Out of town.
Excuse me, Joe. I have to get.
You're putting all your needles here now?
Shh, don't tell anybody.
Nino,
Yeah, I can do that here,
Nino
right?
has the diaper bag over there.
Oh, yeah. Uh-oh. What happened, Elizabeth?
Where are you?
Hang on, honey.
Mr. Light, where are you? Where's Mr. Light?
Here we are. Just arrived in Bethel. You can see the clock up on the tower and also mine. We're a little bit late. There it is. 7 o'clock, Bethel Village. But off in the distance, we have the cross on the Vaghi Woodwork shop in the dark. And you're still able to see Vaghi Woodwork Company sign. The new owner. And of course, this is Bethel.
You just stay there, Joe. Here comes a car.
Oh, stay right here. Where are you going?
Well, here's a car coming.
No, that's not. I want to interview somebody. Come here. Mom?
Okay, I'll be with you.
Hey, where are we now? How was your trip up?
Oh, just fine. Every bit of it was fine. I enjoyed it very much. The train trip was delightful.
Good.
What nice thing about it, brought back memories going through all the little towns.
Cannondale, Reading,
Cannondale,
Branchville.
I didn't hear.
Yeah.
Norristown, something.
Yeah.
Yes,
It was a nice little
nice.
stay up there.
Yeah, it was. We had a lovely time in New York. The children were good, and they had a good time, which was important. They weren't any problem at all.
Good.
Everything so far has been fine.
Well, we've had a good time. Mary, how you doing down there?
Now we're at this is the Bethel Village Square over here.
Why not? Hey, Joseph. Where's the train?
Now here comes a car. Could this be she? Does she
No.
have a truck?
He hears the train whistle and he's just all excited.
Oh, sure.
Train. Saying where'd it go?
Where'd the train go? Train went bye-byes. But the train brought you up here to Bethel. This is Bethel. Can you say Bethel? Oh, you will one day.
I hope you all can see, but this is right down there. We're looking, scanning around, looking straight down Elizabeth Street.
He hears the whistle. He's getting all excited.
Back away.
I think Vaghi would be here.
There's Jack's. And looking down the tracks towards Danbury. And Mulaney's crossing over the main street. Greenwich.
Stitches, where?
Night when we were packing to come up here the next morning.
No! Oh,
She was at
I'm
the
so
hospital for the first
sorry.
time.
How did you fall down?
Oh, she didn't fall down. She turned and ran into the door jamb and it split her head open right there.
Oh, I'm so sorry,
Just
Jen.
ready to put her to bed.
Oh, she was such a good girl,
She was so
huh?
brave.
My gosh.
What a big girl.
Oh, did you? I want those pictures taken of me.
Yeah, there you go.
I want any pictures of me, Joseph.
Let's get some
Oh, dear.
shots of the wall here.
You can put them over the dining room if you want, Mary. We'll give you the door.
How you doing, Amory?
Good. How are you? And you know, that's what I'm interested to find out. How are you doing?
Well,
What's the latest on you? Are you okay?
we're narrowing it down.
Are you?
Pills and IVs and shots I gotta take.
Yeah.
So, it was a good appointment today. He said
Was
I'm some allergic reaction to lentils,
Oh.
milk, egg, white, and one or two other things. I'm on a strict diet. I've got a lot of drugs and vitamins. A lot of high
Yeah,
quality vitamins.
yeah, right. Joe, you know where you're sleeping in Carlo's room. Is that all right?
Yeah, that's fine.
You and Agnes in that bed there.
Where am I sleeping?
Over there in the end.
Oh, in that corner?
Yeah, over in that corner. Yeah.
Was that I thought Carl was slept in the
Well,
room?
he did, but then when that came up, we had the big bed, then he went in there and slept there. But the bed is not too big. And Nina,
Yeah,
and Nina, you're gonna sleep next to them in that little room, okay?
Yeah, what do you got there?
Hey, Joe.
Yeah? What's that? Going over here?
Oh, God.
Here, take some out. What do you got there, Dan?
Joe.
Little boy. You're a cute little boy. He looks like Elizabeth. You look like your sister.
There we go, one for the record. Hey, DJ, how you doing?
Hey,
Hey.
my book.
Soon, dude.
Take the picture.
No, it's a
Oh,
movie camera.
It's a movie camera.
I thought it was. I thought he'd take the picture.
So what do you have to say, DJ?
Well, I have to say, Stuart Berger's a great doctor, but Alba Enriquez, Dr. Kaufman's even a better one. You wait till I get my book going, man. You're gonna see so many pages, you'll have to stay down and scratch your head to figure out what I'm trying to say. I just sent a 50-word telegram to Senator Bush. I mean, Prospect, what's his name? Okay, he's President Bush. You got a letter back to the White House. Everybody gets it.
How much that cost you?
$50.
Some things never change.
You're wasting a lot of film up there. All right. Well, here I want to advertise
This is the
oranges from Florida. I don't go there.
I think for the archives, we gotta take a look at the contour of the nose. Look this way.
You can use an apple. That was good for you,
Oh,
too.
look this way, DJ. See the contour of the nose.
Yeah,
That's the
I know.
nose.
Well, listen, President Nixon has a ski nose. I have a flat nose, so I'm the different.
Hey,
You
DJ,
can put a seat
DJ,
on mine. His you can't. You go right up in
DJ,
his face.
who knows?
Not all. Well, I can't. You know, I get older, right? Like 17 instead of 71. Well, what? I don't know. Yeah, the Lone Ranger. You're wasting a lot of film, me, man.
That's all right. Hey, you're worth every second
Oh,
of it.
yeah, I know.
All right. Well,
Good glass of spring
okay,
water.
we'll say goodbye.
Good orange.
Good health.
Good health. And look for my book.
Now, how old are you now?
Back in 6
You'll be
months.
72, 71.
I'll be 7 months, July 21st, 1921. I mean, that's when I was born. I'll be 71, July 31st, 1920. Well, I'll be 71 anyway.
Yeah, okay. And how come that hair keeps getting darker?
I don't know, there's something wrong up here. I got a flat top. Oh, yeah. Krista Joy colored it up with Clairol. I'm advertising Clairol. Got Clairol? That's what that does for you. It makes your hair nice and
Clairol knows.
Clairol. No.
All right, let me see right here.
You got it.
Let's see, what are you doing there? Washing up?
Oh, Joseph, you had enough of me.
Yeah, we had a great dinner. That was haddock. That was really good. Where'd you get that haddock from?
I got it at the Network Fish Market.
Where at Danbury?
Well, on the borderline of Danbury and Bethel.
Very good.
It was. I'll have to go back there again
Yeah,
and tell them.
tell them it was very good.
I'll tell 'em.
Potatoes and string beans and
Yeah.
fruit
Yeah.
and lots of spring water.
Oh, absolutely.
You run out of water here. We're going to drink you out of house and home.
I still have 6 gallons down cellar.
Go down the cellar.
7 or 8.
So you had to go down the street, huh? Down the street.
Down the street. Joe, turn that off. You had enough of me already.
All right, we're going to sign off for tonight.
Sign off for tonight,
See
right?
you tomorrow.
Okay.
See you on Friday. Today is Friday, January what's today? Today's Friday, February, well, I don't know what it is. What's today? Here's the calendar. April
3rd of April.
There you are. April 4th,
You get your taxes in?
1921.
Get your taxes? Tax day is coming up.
Oh, tax day? Yeah, there's my folic acid, 400 kilograms. Take that.
All right,
Make sure
we're
about
gonna sign.
then you take vitamin C 500 with Rose Hip. And then you take
Ask
that
Nino.
carotene.
Ask Nino about vitamins. Where's our vitamin man here? Hey, Nino.
Yeah, here's the vitamins. Then I take care of them.
All right, well, sign off for now.
All right.
We're gonna say bye.
Thank you, Joe.
See you tomorrow there.
For you and your father and your vitamin AD and
Okay.
Mary and Elizabeth and Joe. All right, little Joe Jr. Mars. No, you two just trained
Something else, isn't he?
He's gonna be Mars on the planet Mars.
Yeah, Randy.
Yeah.
Good night.
Good morning, Emery. What are you doing up there?
They always kept me with my robot.
Yeah, there we go.
All the time.
Here it is, Saturday morning, 9:41. Yeah, for the camera.
Always kept me in the
Yeah.
morning. Always when you were always ready to
Pictures
leave.
that were taken here.
I know it. They're always-
Where are we going now? Why don't you come with us?
No, are you kidding? No way.
We're gonna go down the street.
Yep, you're going down for breakfast, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, well, I
Who do
hope
we have
you
it?
enjoy.
You actually look so nice today.
Oh, thank you, Joe. That's a
Doesn't she look nice?
Yeah, Mary, you look very lovely.
Oh, thanks.
Glasses on there.
Mary, the way you said that. You do look lovely. I like your hair like that.
Oh, thank you.
I like the beret. Isn't that a pretty beret?
Thank you. Whenever I find things like that on sale, like this, I think this one was $6 or so. I just.
Oh, you're kidding. So pretty, Mary. I like it. Now that's the tree that Jimmy Lou in her mother gave us, that dogwood tree over there.
Oh, yeah,
For
which one?
Nino.
Aunt Mary just moved out this week.
This one right here?
Yes.
Why so close to that?
Well, as far as any boy, we're going to take it down, that flagpole.
Yeah.
And I said, well, all right, we'll put it there, and it'll be right in the middle of the lawn. So that's why we put it there. Never take it down. No, they would.
Joseph, what are you doing out there? Let's see who's in the garage. Hey, Elizabeth, good morning. How are you this morning? What are y'all doing back here?
There's the old lake, the old belt ribbon. Watch out together.
Hold on, we're coming in here, checking it out. Yeah, you want to give me a little history here for the record?
Yeah, you ought to get a picture of the boat.
Back there.
No, you get your clothes all dirty. You better wait a week.
I need a little history.
See the amphibious back there?
Yeah, but he's
Yeah.
got his good
See if you can,
Zero on that, Joe.
Get some footage
Yeah,
of that.
you can go right on through this thing and you'll make it perfectly.
Who cleaned all this up?
Watch out, don't get all dirty. Yeah, these are all the old line threads. The old rope.
Okay, here we are back here. Dad? Dad? What year did your father build this?
About 1926, I think.
1926. The amphibious boat made by Joseph P. Vaghi. There we go.
Yeah, that was quite an amphibious boat, Joseph.
Give me a little history here, Dad, for the record.
Well, let me say something.
I mean, if I don't have any commentary here, people are going to look at this years from now and going to wonder what the heck this is. Too bad I can't get that thing made by Vaghi Woodwork there.
Well, there's not much you can see here. I guess you can see it says amphibious. Can you see that?
You got all that.
There's a nice big red arrow going forward. And then this store fixtures, fine cabinet work in this page here. And back over there it says made by the Vaghi Woodwork Company, Bethel, Connecticut. You can't see it all.
Yeah.
But this was really a beautiful looking thing at the time. This top is missing, but there's a nice panel that went across the top.
Why don't you get your wallet
And
get the picture of your wallet.
incidentally, this is the steering wheel. This is the steering wheel that was right here, went in this point here, and this was rounded glass. Way ahead of his time in terms of rounded glass. This was 1927, 26, 27, and rounded glass came with the automobiles much later on. But so we get good vision. And the top is a canvas top, designed beautifully. And there were 3 spaces here. This was the driver and a couple spaces to the right where you could sit, passengers back in there. In the middle section here was our Model T Ford engine. I don't know if you can see in there, but you still see the
Pretty well, actually.
3 pedals. That's the forward, the back, and the brake, the forward, and the reverse. Those 3 pedals. The Model T Ford, the magneto at the top, and then in the back, there was room for 4 or 5 people to sit. And then in the far back was where the transmission was, so you could disengage the wheels and engage the propeller. And the interesting thing about this amphibious craft was that Pop was very much in demand for it. As kids, we used to go down to the Bronx Zoo in New York in this, and of course it stopped traffic all along the highway. Another interesting thing is that Pop belonged to the Lions Club, and they took it to Bridgeport maybe around 1930 and had a big sign, the Lions roar 1,000%, and all of the local gentry of Bethel rode in this, and it was in the parade. I can recall one time, maybe 29, 30, I don't know, somewhere in there, we were going on Greenwood Avenue past St. Mary's Church going down toward Pat Carroll's gas station. We're driving along, and there used to be a big round trough where horses used to water. And between the trough and the walk, there was a bridge over the brook, Beaver Brook, and the front engagement for the wheel became loose, and the boat ran in between the water trough and the railing so he wouldn't fall into the brook. Well, you got to get the pliers out and the wrench, you tighten it up, and away we went again. But those were the little things you remember as a youngster.
And how many could fit in here?
Well, at the time, 27 weren't too many of us in the family, because you get 2 or 3 in the front, about 4 or 5 in the back.
Was there a cover over the engine here?
There was a cover halfway. It would go from here, well, you can probably see where that break is. From there to here, and likewise on the other side, so that you had air for the engine.
Okay, so no one sat in this center section?
No, that's the motor. That's still the Model T Ford engine that's sitting in there. Also, one of the nice things was that Pop took the roof off one year, probably in 1927. I'm going to look in the News Times up in Danbury, but it was in the parade, a Memorial Day parade, and the girl by the name of Shanley was the Queen of Peace, and she rode on the back. And
her head sticking out the back.
Well,
there.
no, she was on the pedestal.
On the back part there.
And we kids were sitting across here, and we wore the puttees and the hats that the soldiers wore in World War I. So it was quite an interesting thing.
A lot of history to this vehicle.
Oh yes. I'm holding in my hand, which is just stored in here. These are the moldings that Pop made for all the caps around the house. If you go around the house, you see on each of the pedestals, this come in the garage and that's elsewhere, the positive of this. It took 4 of these, he molded it. And put concrete, cement, and up there are all the forms for all the colonnades around the house. We can see up there those white things. If you take those apart, you can, that will show you what the negative is, and then in that he poured the white cement.
So your father made this house the same time he made the other house, or would this come years later? The building we're in now?
Oh, this garage, this was done about in the mid-30s. And
so about 15 years after you made the house?
No. This thing, incidentally, if you look down here, this thing that I'm opening here, this was the hood that went over this boat. Yeah, over the engine. No, it wasn't for this one. This one, right behind you, we have another boat, Vaghi. You can see that. This is made of armor ply, and he was experimenting in the propulsion was a system that's used today quite extensively in the yacht that Lauren Simkowitz has. He's got propellers with a design that Pop had back in the 27.
Ahead of his time.
Way ahead of his time, and I showed them to the engineers down in Florida when I was down there a couple of years ago, building Lauren's ship. And Lauren's ship goes 50 miles an hour. It's 112 feet long.
The propellers.
And the propeller, the same concept that Pop had, is what they're using.
And this is one of his tests right here, this propeller here.
Oh, this is another one. This is another one of Pop's boat. He had a motorcycle engine. It still is down here. It was, originally it was a motorcycle engine, then he got a different one. And the idea was that by blowing the air back, you could go in very short draft. And he had 3 wheels on it. And the roof of this is over there. The roof is basically the same concept as the big one over there.
Like the boats they use in the Everglades today.
That's right. And this one was a very interesting...
but it was top heavy. It never really floated properly?
No, it went fine, but...
the terrain had a little problem?
Needed a little
stabilizer.
But it was an interesting approach, building it an armor plywood with metal glued to it. And...
pretty heavy?
Very heavy. It was done during the Depression years, during the 30s.
I can see they're making some attempt to clean up the shop here a little bit, even though you don't know.
That back there's a wine press. This thing back here, with those things sticking up after you make the wine.
This is another mold, I take it right here?
This is a mold with no, that was, you put the grapes in.
Oh, okay.
And then that goes into the grinder.
Now what was that motor for underneath there? Was that for the old refrigerator?
I don't know what that was for. It's something we picked up along the way. This, by the way, is the upside down, the roof that was on the boat that Pop had the Pop had the propeller in the back, the great big air propeller.
There's a lot of history here.
And this is down here. These are the rings that go around.
The wine press.
Get your wine press. You put your stuff in there and
Sit
crank
it
it up.
through.
This is the bottom of it. This goes on that thing you saw, the thing sticking up, and this goes on that. You put all the stuff in, and then you got some round boards that go in here, and you tighten it up, and away it goes.
Ah.
Here's a little thing. The helicopter made according to plans by Joseph Vaghi, 1907. And if you can see that. Pop was very much involved in aviation. As a matter of fact, he went to the first aviation school ever in the United States. It was then in the Waldorf Astoria, and took lessons by mail, then went down, and he got a letter from his mother, and his mother said to him, "I'd rather see you a plain Joe alive than a dead Joe a hero." At that point, he gave up because someone had given an exhibition in Milano, and the airplane crashed and the fellow died. So following that, and Joe Pop being the only son, he took the advice. Here's another one of those wine presses. You see these things here? It goes on there, and with the board you come across and you squeeze everything down, and then this is so that you could. No, belay that. This is part of the woodworking. We used to laminate a lot of wood, and to put long pieces of wood in here, panels and so forth. You lay them on here, then you crank them together with these things. And you squeeze the wood out, and when it was nice and dry, why, there you had.
You open it up.
You open it up, and there it is. Now, a lot of our grapes came from California, and there was Santa Clara. These probably one of the old boxes. Select grapes, Zinfandel. One year he made 21 barrels of wine. He was great at that. He gave most of it away. But
California, product of USA, select grapes.
Now I don't know if this particular box is one from them, but it came in boxes similar to this.
And how many boxes would come in here, grapes of that nature?
Oh goodness, I don't know how many boxes there were, but there were scores of them.
Okay, well I think we ought to sign off and go to have breakfast now.
Right now, as you can see, they're recycling empty beer cans. That's the mode of the day, recycle, and that's what's happening there. This is one of the, there it is. This is a workbench that was in the shop, probably when Pop started back in 1906. This is probably one of his workbenches.
What's that license plate up there? What year is that license plate? I can't get it.
Where's that?
56.
Oh, that's a later one, yeah, 56. Got a lot of old boards in here. Just a collection of stuff. Panels came out of the shop. Well, we better go, I think.
All right. Shot here. Did they leave my camera case over there?
Yeah, there it is, right there.
All right.
Where are they going there? This garage, that used to be right between the big house and Mary's house, Johnny's house.
Wait a minute, where was that?
This garage here.
Yeah.
What is the garage? This house used to be on the lot between the house that Johnny lived in and the big house to the right.
And how did they move it from there all the way back to here?
Pop had it moved. He moved it when he bought the 3 lots. That house that Johnny had, the lot in between, and where our big house is now. And so Pop moved it back there and made a garage. It was quite adapted.
Quite an undertaking.
As a matter of fact, back when Pop came to town, he owned a Model T Ford, and then he bought a real Flying Cloud in the 20s. And was one of the few people in town that owned one of these very big fancy cars. And every Sunday, we would, as little kids, try to get Pop up after a nap and go out. He'd drive us around and get ice cream. One time we got over as far as New Milford, and Pop never carried much money around with him. Tire went flat. It was quite common in those days for tires to go flat, leaks, and so he went into the gas station, Newtown rather, and he had to leave his watch. He didn't have any money to pay for it. I guess he spent all his pennies on ice cream for us kids, and they wouldn't, after he had it fixed, they wouldn't let him go because he didn't have money to pay for it. So he left his watch, and then the next day, Joe McGowan, who was Pop's secretary in the shop, he went over, paid the money, and retrieved the watch. So it was a lot of fun.
All right, well, my battery light's coming on here, so I'm going dead. So I'm going to sign off for now.
We're going down and walk downtown.
I'll leave the camera here, Dad.
Yeah, I would too.
Oh, you're taking pictures. Oh, yeah. Oh, I see.
Yeah, let's do a time check here. Okay, hi there.
Oh, this is now.
Hey, gang.
Now, 7:31. Yeah, we just got finished watching those memorable tapes of yesteryear. What did you think of that, AMA?
Oh, it was
Hey, Joe.
incredible. I don't remember ever looking like that.
What a camera. Don't forget me,
It
Joe.
was neat seeing
Tell you what.
everybody, so happy.
We saw you in the car.
Yeah, that's right.
And you were with, who else was in the car?
Aunt Maria was in the front with Diane Mancini in the middle, and Dad was driving.
Neil, for the mattress you bought me and the stuff. You want one of these?
Dad did.
I got the light.
You gotta take a me.
Light in here.
Dad had another 3 or 4 years to be
I'm
a dad.
recording.
Take one of me afterwards.
He's recording.
So that was
This is live. We're live.
57. Yeah.
So there you are.
Sharon. You didn't get Sharon. Put Sharon.
You just said take me. Now I
No, all right, here.
I even remember being
You got enough film?
there was mass. They had a mass.
Great rest.
There you go.
John,
So
now,
what year was that?
watch, man. UFO. Now look
What
at
year was that? We were out in front of the house. You remember? What year was that? When we were in front of the house there?
Oh, she's bought this.
No, on tape. 2 minutes ago.
Oh, that was in 1955. 54.
August
53. 50, I guess. I forgot. Look, take it to the back.
He was just born. That's right. And she wasn't here, but just.
All right, Nino.
Did you get the UFO? Did you get the UFO?
We got it. We're all
Okay,
set.
all right, thank
Hey,
you.
Joe.
Oh, I didn't even see it.
There's a light there. You're here.
I didn't even look over there for crying out
What
loud.
do I hear?
Yeah.
That was pretty neat how you did that. You know, I have a suggestion. You ought to go through the tapes.
Yeah.
Oh,
Pick out the better ones.
Yeah.
Go ahead and do the same thing you did with those, and then make a little tape and send it around to all the families.
You like that? Well, that was a test tonight, and it worked well.
How many tapes were there?
Well, there's not a whole lot. That was pretty much the best of what you saw. But there's a lot more there that I haven't gone through.
Well, my suggestion is tomorrow, if you get time,
Get
just
the
go
name,
through
everyone is smart.
and pick out the ones you think are the best and do the same thing. Because, you know, unless somebody does this, no one's going to see these things anymore.
And you know, do you know
They're
what
gone
kind of
forever.
video to buy?
What's that?
You know what kind of video I should buy?
What video, what are you looking for?
I have about 10 videotapes. It's just
Hey, Marie?
VCR tapes?
Anne Marie? Turn around for the camera.
What kind should I buy?
Take a walk in there, Joe, and
I can't, I'm on TV here live. Anne Marie? Turn around. They're out there making, what are we having tonight for dinner? Saturday night, they're having chicken.
no, turkey, Joe.
Turkey, excuse me. All right.
Here's a little, hey, little fella, come over here. Joe, let me introduce you to little Joseph here.
Okay.
This is little Joseph.
Joseph, you look at that.
Where's
Joseph.
Daddy? Look at Daddy. There's Daddy. Say hi, Daddy.
Who's on TV?
Wave. Who's on TV? Is that you?
Get that pacifier in your mouth.
Where's Joseph?
Joseph, give me a pacifier. Smile.
Where's Joseph? Is he over there on TV? Is that him?
Get that pacifier in your mouth.
All right.
Okay, where's Sharon? We gotta come over here to talk to Sharon.
Sharon, look this way.
Sharon, how you doing?
There you are.
What do you have to
There you are, that
say
looks
for,
nice.
for yourself over there?
Photogenic.
Glad to see you guys again.
Yeah?
Glad you're up here. Saved us a trip.
Now you are pregnant with your third child, and you want to give the names and ages of your two children?
We have Joshua, who's 2.5, he's got 3 in June, and Danielle is
Big Joe. I mean,
just one in February.
And
Oh,
Elvis.
here's Danielle.
Nelson by all accounts.
Jenny's father never would
Can you say hi, Danielle?
Hi, Danielle.
it's kind of
What's your name, man?
What's the lady?
They must have
Make that
developed
straight. There.
real
Danielle.
sensitivity for the alligator
Hi.
accent.
Look at your TV.
Never to imagine.
See you.
Sit on TV.
Wave your hand. Wave.
Around the house.
Wave your hand. Wave like this.
Well, I
Go like this.
suppose because they
Danielle,
probably had
TV.
I don't remember
got the
hearing
right one
that.
there.
Now, how old is she?
Women, the girls.
How old is she now?
Oh, he does?
One.
Just one February 13th.
Laundry Saturday
Oh,
morning.
okay. So, and
Third time,
Joshua?
did all the dirty laundry and took it
And
all
what?
downstairs.
Joshua is.
Well, you know, my mother used to say,
He's 2. She's 1.
thank
Well, you've got them tight. That's a tight agenda. That's a pretty aggressive agenda you're all keeping there.
Moving right along.
And Paul's losing weight by the hour.
Losing weight, losing hair.
What's going on?
Yep, the pocket's empty.
There you go. But that's how you'll have a
This
house
pocket's
full.
empty.
You'll have a house full of fun kids, right?
Petey.
That's right.
beautiful fat cheeks, right?
I can't believe
Happy and
how much
healthy.
Danielle and
Yeah.
Joshua look alike.
And they
Yeah.
wore this in the
Say
TV.
hi.
When you see a picture
Say
of
hi.
Josh,
Wait,
stage,
see?
right?
Oh,
See
definitely.
that? Wave,
And I never
wave
knew
your hand
that. I
up,
mean,
Paul.
people would
So
always
see
say how
that's
much
it. Wave,
it looks like,
Danielle.
and it wasn't
See?
until
Oh,
last
she waves
Christmas
the
and I
other
got
way.
pictures
All right.
of them together, and I thought,
Joseph's not afraid of it. Wave, Joe. Joseph, wave.
Everybody always says Elizabeth.
See that? He
Joe
waves.
Hi, buddy.
They're twins.
All right, we're gonna sign off for now.
All right, very good.
Say goodbye to the whole gang here.
Everybody, ciao.
Ciao. Okay. DJ.
Yeah.
Till we see you later.
Let's see.
Yeah, DJ.
Oh, there he is.
DJ, UFO. He's got the beer on there.
All right.
Where'd you get that
Some
shirt?
things never change.
Hey, take off my glasses.
Some things never change.
All right.
Right here,
All
a
right.
living landmark.
Hey.
Auntie, where'd you get that shirt?
yeah.
I go
Goodbye, Mary.
with them.
All the baby pictures.
Cost
All the
$20 a
baby
piece.
pictures. He looks
$25 a
like
piece, $35 a piece.
Where'd you get it?
Up to
Goodbye, Mary.
T-shirt station at the
Here
mall.
we go. Let's sign off with Nino out there at the stove. Nino, you cooking up a meal there?
That's expensive.
Okay, well, we're all hungry.
Can you zoom in?
I can zoom in. Let's get a look. Zoom in.
All right, we're gonna get. I'm gonna go and get it all. I guess maybe Nina was probably the
Hold on,
lightest.
he's gonna pull out. Oh, yeah.
Because that was the first generation.
Well, there's the turkey coming out. Look at that way. Hey, we see turkey. Joseph, look at the turkey.
He has the blonde one, and I have the blonde.
Okay, there it is.
Already was ready to turn
Wow, looks brown, all right.
Okay, Nino, keep up the good work.
out there.
Okay, here we are,
They were at the park.
out on the mall. Carlo on the front of the. Nino, give her one by. Here, go to the display. Who is that?
Carlo on the left. Directly next to him is Aunt Marie. That's myself at the driver's seat, and Joe with his ranger outfit on. Joe was the ranger at the White House. I was working the National Park Service also at the National Folklife Festival.
What year?
It was 1976,
76.
the year of the bicentennial. And we were driving the Caroche, and that's the National Park Service.
And where's that vehicle going now?
It looks like it's going to the mall.
No, where is the Caroche being retired to?
the Smithsonian. We made it a hybrid. We put an engine on there, and the engine is the purpose of that engine is to generate electricity and generate electricity to the batteries and recharge them while we're driving.
And who was involved in that project?
That project was spearheaded by myself, John Hoke, our technical advisor, and Doug Lindsay, our boss, who spearheaded that project.
And John Hoke just retired in 92.
92.
Okay, sign off for now.
All right. Let's start from left to right. Tell who it was.
We're rolling.
This was the wedding.
I don't even know what year or what year was it.
That was Beatrice's 25th wedding anniversary.
And make it down here, Anne Ray.
We're rolling. We're rolling.
At the Richfield Italian American Club. They had a big celebration for their anniversary. Everybody came, and we all went out in nice dresses. Long dresses were popular then. Remember that, Agnes? And we all ended up with a wonderful party. Everybody danced just like a wedding. Oh, and there it is, Uncle Alfred from left to right. Alfred, Carlo, Maria, Johnny's behind, Aunt Beatrice, and then there's Dina, and Uncle Joe, and Dante. The whole family, the whole Vaghi, Battista, Joseph, right, all except for Nino, who had passed away many years before that.
What year was this?
Well, it was the 25th wedding anniversary of Aunt Bea and Uncle Nick. They were married in 1952, so that would have been 1977.
1977. There you go. Okay.
Get together. It was wonderful.
Well, let's sign off for now. All right, we got a lot of help here. Hold on, going around here. Can I get a camera in here? We're operating. Okay, up, the doctor. Oh, yeah.
Somewhere there for you.
This looks like an autopsy here.
Joe, why don't you explain to the folks why we have the lights on here?
We don't have much lights.
No, we don't have enough lights.
$60, you can buy one of these. Halogen lights, I guess you call them.
Well, it all starts up here. That's it all.
I understand there was quite a discussion.
I got a Jewish 5-candle holder, so I bring it down, put those.
Hold on. It all starts up here, and it comes down.
I got a Jewish candle. You want me to bring it down?
I can't see without it.
Hold on now. He's going.
I got an idea, Maria.
Dad, what are you doing there? Maybe give us a little description of what you're doing here.
Well, I'm really working.
These are like total.
These are like in total. All right. Someone may decide to hold
That smells good.
Put it in down the porch. Why'd you take it out? What? Why'd you take it out?
Alfred, how you doing?
No, we have to take it out.
I'm trying to think. Too bad I'm not 8 foot. I could just put one.
We got a ladder. 6-foot ladder.
Too late now. We'll get it next one. You had your opportunity. We'll get it next one.
See, man, you blew it.
You blew it.
No, you blew it. Back of your eye.
What do you have in there? Agnes Vaghi, Renee Vaghi, Nino Vaghi.
We have
Dante
Thanksgiving
Vaghi.
in April.
We got Sharon.
We are with the
Come on, Maria.
turkey and the
Paul, okay.
May we just have Mary?
Danielle and Hannah. Toe.
That's what
Joshua
boarding
next to
house
Elizabeth.
reach here.
Where, Joshua?
Wave.
Wave hi.
There you go, Elizabeth.
We need a fork in that. Here, you know, there was 2 forks here.
Where'd you go, get some?
There you go, back over there.
Oh, light bulb. I mean, from up here.
And Mary, how you doing?
Light bulb.
You didn't go to get the light bulb. Now, who wants water? I got
There's
water.
Mary and Maria. Let's get the water right now.
I know.
All right.
Who wants water? You want water?
Mom, yeah, Mary. Mary, water.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
One big family meal. Yeah.
She saw her bottle.
It wouldn't be a meal without a cry.
Now, who else wants water?
You don't load a jug. You should have a jar and put it in.
You want water, actually? What do you got?
Good
morning, all you Vaghi fans. Here it is Sunday morning, the 5th of April, 1992. And in a few moments, we're going to go indoors and go down memory lane, explaining what happened out here where we're standing in this very moment, what happened here 41 years ago. So if our cameraman is ready, I'm ready to proceed indoors, where he will arrange for us to give you a little preview, a little history of the Vaghi family as it was 41 years ago. So, shall we go in, Mr. Cameraman? Incidentally, the cameraman is Joseph III. Thank you. Here we go. Here we are, and I promised we would take you back 41 years. And it was this picture you're seeing on the screen at the moment, was a picture taken on the Sunday morning back in July, after Mass, in front of the house, here at 32 Elizabeth Street. And as I say, it was 1941, which makes it 41 years ago. Looking from right to left, we see our sister Dina, who was born in 1925. She presently lives in Milano. And at the time the picture was taken, Dina was a secretary at the Lee Hat Factory. That's L-E-E Hat Factory in Danbury, Connecticut. Danbury being famous for its hats. Standing next to Dina is myself, and I was born in 1920. And at that time I was going to school at Providence College. The following year I went off to the Navy, because that's insignificant. We move on from the next one. Now, standing next to me is Nino. Nino was the eldest of the boys, and Nino was born in 1915 and died in 1952. He was the general manager of the shop, and later, during the war, had to leave town and serve in the army. Standing next to Nino is Johnny. He's the number 2 son. He was born in 1919 and died in 1977. The picture you see here, you see him in his uniform of the 43rd Artillery Division of the National Guard. He volunteered to serve in the National Guard, and when the war came, he went off into the Pacific and was there for, I think, about 3 years. Standing next to Johnny, of course, is Mama. Mama was born in 1890 and died in 1956. And in terms of what Mama was doing, she was looking after all of us 9 children. And she looks lovely there, doesn't she? Standing next to Mama is Pop. Pop was born in 1883 and died in 1964. Pop came to this country in 1906 and built the house you see behind us, and was the largest house here in Bethel, and was a leader in the community. And he reared sired 9 of us children. Standing next to Pop, and standing with the uniform, of course, is DJ, Dante. Dante was born in 1921. This picture was taken while he was serving in the United States Air Force. At the time, he was out in Denver, Colorado, I believe it was. He later, after serving 5 or 6 years there, came back and joined the force at the shop. Standing next to Dante is Carlo. Carlo is the number 6 child. He was born in 1925, and 1926, excuse me. And he was in high school at that time, and later he joined and became a Navy seaman. Standing next to Carlo is Maria. Maria was the number 5 child. She was born in 1922, and at the time the picture was taken, she was working at the Unique Products, which was an outfit in occupied part of